Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the British Esports stream. Today, we've got something really special for you, which is the first of our series in Esports 101. This is a video editing masterclass with one of our video editor volunteers. But before we get started into that, I just wanted to shout out some real quick hellos and thank yous to the Newell, who will be hosting our grand finals this weekend. I really suggest you guys check that out. It's going to be a Friday starting at 3 p.m. Where we'll have the Overwatch finals. It's got Saturday 3 p.m. as well, which is the League of Legends finals, and the same time again on Sunday for the Rocket League finals. Going to be really good sessions, some really good teams there, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah, once again, the Newell are hosting. It will be on our British Esports Twitch channel though, so just check back in here. We'll get the links sent out in our socials on Friday. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy this stream. And I think there's our normal session on Friday, which will be a community session, is obviously cancelled. We have decided in the last few weeks to do a show match on the last Friday of every month. And of course, this is the last Friday of this month, and this is the first month that we've been streaming. So what a great show match to start it off with, which will be our finals. But from ongoing Fridays at the end of the month, we'd love to do any kind of show matches, whether you think there's a team that you'd love to see play versus, you know, a grudge match, or if you want us to play against some people, or if you want to challenge us to a game, that'd be great. You know, we'd love to play you guys and be involved that way. So the guest I have on today, his name is Saul Parsons, but also goes by the name of Spyran. I'll post a link to his channel in the chat there for you guys. Check out his stuff. Really great video editor and graphic designer and stuff like that. So please do check it out. Thanks very much for the follow, and any of you in chat, if you come up with any questions that you want to ask him whilst on stream, just put them in the chat, and I'll be sure to make sure we get them answered. So to start off with, I thought it'd be best if I kind of just demonstrate some of his work. I've got a couple of videos to show you today from ones he's edited in the past. And then once that's finished, we'll get straight into the chat. So yeah, I will set that up now. Enjoy.
Feel never gonna stop, 'cause I'm falling deep, I guess the
So thank you very much for that. That was a really good video. Obviously, that's CS:GO there. So thank you very much, Saul, for joining me. How are you today?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Good to be
Excellent,
here.
excellent. So just before we get started, do you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, kind of, what you do and who you are?
Sure. Yeah. So I currently is my normal job. I'm an IT technician at a school. I've been doing that for pretty much ever since I left college. I went into an apprenticeship and started at one school, and eventually I've moved to a school close to me. So that's pretty much my professional working life. I also worked at IKEA for a little bit. That was pretty good. Got plenty of money on the discounts there, so that's always fun.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of things I do, so obviously I do video editing on the side. Um, Esports I've been interested in for like the longest time. I think the first proper esports I started watching was back in the early days of League of Legends when they didn't have the LCS, and it was you'd. I remember I'd sit on a morning in school before school started in the canteen. I'd sit and watch the competitions on my phone. Back in when it was like season 2 or season 3, however long ago that was. So esports has been an interest for me for ages. Games I've played since I was younger. I owned a Mega Drive and a Nintendo 64 when I was younger, and I used to be on that pretty much constantly. And now I've got my own house, and so I'm sat here, and all I can do is play games and stuff now since we're trapped in. So it's working out well for me.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've seen a few of those IKEA videos on your channel. They look really good. Thanks very much for the follow, Frog, and everybody else in the chat. Welcome, guys. If you do think of anything that you want to ask Saul while he's here, please pop it in the chat. I've noticed that there's one question already there, so I'll just start with that, so I don't forget about it. Um, he knows what you mean as well. So, what is
Okay.
Spyron's opinion on the Dippy Special? I have no idea what the Dippy Special is, so please
Okay.
enlighten us.
Okay, so the Dippy special, we have a student at our school, and he plays Smash Brothers, and his special move, he plays Rob, and his special move is the Dippy special, and so we always make sure to call it out when it comes up. It's um, I'm not very good at my Smash terminology, but it's where you grab them, you throw them into the ground, and then you throw them up, and you like smash them upwards. Then, so if it hits that, that's the Dippy special, and
Right.
so
I'm assuming you're talking about the controller. You grab it, smash it into the ground, and then throw
that's
it
it.
into the
Yeah, so
ceiling. Yeah.
when you lose, you grab it, you
Yeah.
smash it.
The Dippy
That's it.
Special.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. All right, well, let's get started then. So, could you just tell me, you said you did it as a sort of side job and, in your spare time, but what made you want to get started in video editing?
So the earliest memory that I have of any kind of video editing was probably when I was back in like year 7 or year 8. I can't remember. It's somewhere around that kind of time. And I used to love watching. I don't know if anyone would even know who he is anymore, but Tobuscus, who was like a really really popular vlogger back in the day.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm going to do that as well. And so I used to have my little camcorder before I got like a phone that was good enough to record stuff. And I used to sit there and just talk about like absolutely nothing, like whatever had gone on at school that day. Um, and so from that, I guess my interest in like making videos stemmed from then just kind of sitting in front of a camera to um, like loads of different things I've done over the like since I guess high school. I've had friends, and I've got like a friend group, and we all play games and stuff together. And at various points we've had ideas of, oh, let's start a YouTube channel and let's put Minecraft videos on or something, whatever it is. And so we'd end up making videos, and because none of them really had any massive interest in doing the video editing,
Yeah.
I volunteered to do the video editing for any kind of YouTube stuff that we made.
So you did
And
it
so
because your mates couldn't be bothered then, basically.
I think pretty much that might be where it stems from, was just the fact that they just couldn't be bothered to do it. So it ended up being my job.
Now you've turned it into sort of a bit of a mini career. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
So I mean, just got another question here in the chat. So which editing video software do you prefer? What do you use?
So currently, I'm using Premiere Pro and then
Okay.
After Effects as well to link with that. I have used Sony Vegas in the past, but now I've moved into doing more kind of with Adobe. You get a lot more options in terms of if you have the whole suite, like with Photoshop and with After Effects, everything links a bit better and everything works together a bit more
Do you think
nicely than it does.
do you think that like After Effects and Premiere Pro are advantageous over the likes of Sony Vegas? Or do you think it's just personal preference, or is there actual physical boundaries in place from the software that one stands ahead above the others?
I think in terms of if you just want to do very like kind of standard video editing, you just want to throw some bits and pieces together and put some transitions in there,
Hmm.
then Sony Vegas will definitely do the job fine. I think it's when you want to kind of branch into, or you want to throw like some effects in, and you want to throw some like images in that maybe you've tweaked around with a little bit. I think from memory, it's been a while since I've used Sony Vegas, but from memory, it didn't have as much capability to do those kind of things, whereas Premiere Pro and After Effects definitely do.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking to do, I feel like more advanced stuff and to like kind of expand your range a bit more, then that's probably the way to go.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean that kind of leads nicely then into my next question, which is, what would you say would be like the best starting software for somebody who's never done any video? Because I'll hold my hands up right now. I've never done any video editing in my life. I think I've made one video, and
Yeah.
it was with like the Microsoft Video Maker or whatever it was
Yeah,
called in
Windows Movie Maker, yeah,
Windows. That's it.
classic. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was when I was in sixth form. So I'm talking 12, 13 years ago. So what would you advise like somebody to get started with? Obviously, don't say Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah. Well, do you say that? But I think Windows Movie Maker, I don't think it exists in its current form anymore. But I think you can download something that's similar or something that people have like recreated.
Hmm.
That does actually do a fairly decent job if you just want to throw some stuff together, but nothing amazing. In terms of stuff that I've used in the past, there's two pieces of software that I kind of like tinkered with a little bit. There's one called VideoPad, and one called OpenShot, and they're both free, like to use completely. There's no kind of like paywall that any kind of features are hidden behind.
Yeah.
And they look quite similar to things like Premiere Pro and Sony Vegas. So when you do make that transition, it does make it a bit easier because everything kind of looks the same. You get things like transitions, and you've got the little timeline at the bottom, so you can drag and drop things in. And you can see where it all goes, and you've got the little preview window, so you can like play along and try and get things lined up. So the only thing it lacks then is like the advanced features. So like if you want to do cool animations, or if you want to like layer things a bit better and easier, um, then that's when it kind of gets a bit awkward to use these like free bits and pieces of software.
Yeah.
But
What were
both
the
of those
names of those
are
again?
really,
Sorry.
really good. So it's VideoPad and OpenShot are the
Okay.
two.
Yeah, good. Just wanted to reiterate in case anybody missed that. It was okay, cool. So I mean, you've been doing this now for how many years?
Um, maybe like properly, I guess maybe like 4 years, but
4
kind of
years.
on and off, casually, maybe a bit longer than that.
Yeah. Okay. And so like in the last 4 or 5 years, whatever you originally started, like what teaches you how to learn the skills that you have? How did you get to the point where you've gone, okay, I've now mastered this particular skill? Or did you set aside time to like do some learning? Were you watching YouTube videos? Were you how were you doing it?
Yeah, so a lot of it is, I say a lot of it, all of it is pretty much self-taught on my part. So the good thing about YouTube is that there's absolutely everything you could ever ask for is on YouTube somewhere. So if even from the point of, oh, I've run out of ideas, let's go watch X person's video, and you can look and you can see things that they do, and you can think, oh, actually, I'd quite like that. I'll steal that idea and
Yeah.
I'll turn it into something. But things then when like if you don't know how to set keyframes or something properly in Premiere Pro, there's a YouTube tutorial for it. If you don't know how to do a certain effect within After Effects, then there'll be a YouTube tutorial for it. A lot of um, the ease of it comes from just kind of setting some time aside and just watching videos pretty much and just seeing how does someone do this, and then from there, if it makes it easier if you've kind of if you're watching it at the same time, obviously, as you're doing it, you can kind of follow along.
Hmm.
But even if you are just kind of watching on the side, if you've got like your phone open and you're just watching like a video like how to do that, then that works too. But yeah, YouTube's have been like a massive help. I don't, if YouTube didn't
Yeah.
exist, I don't think I'd be able to do anything
You,
remotely close to what I
it's
can do
it's an
now.
amazing tool, isn't it, for learning anything new? To be honest, yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube is definitely my go-to when I'm struggling on you know, I really needed to have learned how to do this thing, and now I need to pack it into a day or so when I'm
Yeah.
expected to know it. Yeah, YouTube can save you. Don't recommend you do that, guys. You know, take your time to properly research whatever it is you're trying to learn, and you know, actually establish it in your head rather than just going to YouTube as your reliable source.
Yeah.
There's a question here in the chat from Paroxysm 330, which I'm assuming is a Heckman White student
Yes.
or
Yes.
teacher or one of somebody you know from there, which is actually quite an interesting question, but I think it leads to a kind of a better question, which is, do you think that pirating video editing software is a viable solution at a budget level? Now, I'm going to answer that already and say absolutely not, because you shouldn't be pirating anything since that's illegal.
Yes.
Um, However, it does raise an interesting question. You know, how much are these kind of softwares? We, Speaking of a budget level, you know, what's kind of a good budget startup software to use? You know, what would you suggest for top end, and how much do they range to? Do you
Yeah.
even know?
Um, Off the top of my head, I'd have to probably go double check what pricing is. It's just kind of sat there like renewing now. I don't have to remember that it's there. It
Oh,
just
so
kind of comes out.
it's a like a yearly thing, or is it a monthly?
Yes. So the good thing about Adobe is you can just get like the subscriptions, and it just kind of comes out, and you don't have to remember to keep going back in and buying it again or purchasing it. I think if you do want to purchase it outright, I think there is an option to purchase it outright, but it might be a bit expensive.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think in terms of budget, um, like I said, those software, that software that I had mentioned earlier, that VideoPad or OpenShot, both of those on a budget, like I said, they're both free, and they'll give you everything you need to get started
So
to the
there you
point
go
where
then.
you can build up to use the more expensive software later on.
So don't pirate stuff. There's free stuff out there. Is your advice? Good.
Yes.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so what kind of videos do you like editing the most? I mean, I know you've been into esports a lot, but that being said, I've checked out your channel and you've done some really interesting stuff, you know, it isn't related to esports at all. So do you have like a preferred thing that you enjoy doing, or do you enjoy working with people or with gaming, or what is it that you prefer editing?
Um, I think I guess if we're talking like maybe genres, I think anything that's like comedy or like anything that's like they've got to make funny videos, I think are always really good. Just because I think you get a lot more freedom and a lot more creativity to kind of go away and think, right, how can I make this like little tiny bit of a video like really funny? How can you
Mhm.
make it stand out? The only, I guess, crux with that is you've got to hope that other people also find you funny.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
which can be hard because it's like, oh, I hope I haven't just got like a stupid brain and think this stupid little thing is really funny, and then people watch it and be like, what on earth is this?
yeah.
um, so I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword with the comedy. You hope that you've got good ideas, and then if it translates well, and if it don't, then you're a bit stuck.
Yeah, I understood.
Um, with other kind of stuff, I quite like any kind of like montage like style videos, so I guess that fits well with any kind of gaming videos. The montages are really good, and there's always something really satisfying when you find the perfect song to go with your video, and then you can line it up perfectly. So like when someone hits the ultimate and then the music drops and it's all like whoa, and it's really crazy. Those moments are really good and really satisfying to be able to create those yourself and to edit those yourself. If I was to like suggest maybe something that I'd like to do in the future, or think about something I'd like to do in the future more, one of the videos I did make back when I worked at IKEA, which you'll be able to see if anyone goes on the website, is we had like a little staff like recruitment video that we wanted to make, and so I volunteered to help like make that essentially. Uh, and that was really good, and that was really interesting, being able to kind of do more of like the real life like filming and then editing it and to make kind of build a story almost.
Hmm.
So anything kind of documentary style, where you get the B-roll that kind of goes on in the background to fill space, and then you get like the little interviews, and like you walk around with people and talk and editing stuff like that together. I've not had much experience doing that, and so that's something I definitely like, I think, to try more if I got the opportunity.
No, good. Yeah, there's a few stuff like especially for live events and things where you'd get a lot of that, you know, kind of panning, following a crew round or
Yeah.
following a person round or whatever. Yeah, I think they'd be good fun to do as well. I definitely like enjoy watching them. So if you're speaking to somebody who, you know, who's new, you know, we've discussed a little bit about what software they could use and things like that. But what would you say would be, you know, kind of your top tip or top few tips to anybody who wants to get involved? You know, how did you, you know, did you make a website yourself? Were you confident doing that? You know, what's your tips from when you started out?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, the most important thing I think is to make sure you the content that you're wanting to make, go out there and just get loads of ideas for. So go out and watch other people's videos who maybe do similar things. If you're making a montage, go look at people's montages on YouTube and see what they do and what works and what doesn't work, and not steal ideas, but kind of replicate almost what they do in a sense. So things like syncing up music, things like what types of music fit with what types of videos, what effects are good to use when and where, and how to emphasize certain moments in a video. Um, you should always look for those moments in other videos instead of just like watching a video just to watch it. Sometimes it's quite good to go in and kind of analyze a video and think, right, why have they chosen to do this here, and things like that. Why do people enjoy that, or why does that make me like that, essentially?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so watching similar content to things that you're doing is a good thing. I'd say another thing is don't be afraid to be really basic with everything. Don't be afraid to, if you want to put a video out there, you think, oh, it's literally, I've just gone and drag and dropped 3 like clips into a timeline and put some music over the top of it, and there's some cool transitions in between. That's not going to do me any good. That's not really done anything. But a lot of videos that are successful are sometimes as basic as that. And everyone's got to start somewhere. I mean, that's pretty much where I started, where it was just dragging and dropping
Yeah.
some clips into a timeline, and then off we go. And that was kind of it. So don't be afraid of starting off really basic. And then from there, once you're familiar with kind of the basics and you've got a foundation to build on, start building and start adding new things in. Um, Try things out as well. Don't be afraid to just when you go into, if anyone's seen Premiere Pro, there's a lot of drop down boxes and options and things, and there's a timeline and all these different effects that you can add on. Just give them a try, because even if you don't know what they do, um, it's important to try and familiarize yourself with the software as much as you can,
Yeah.
in order to kind of get the most out of it. And so then when, if you do ever have an idea later on, you can always call it back to think, oh, I'm sure I found something like that when I was messing around with Premiere Pro or with whatever software you were using. Um,
Do you think
I think, oh, yeah, go ahead.
do you think that like once you've got the grip of one of the softwares, it's a lot easier to understand other softwares that so say for like Saka Potatoes in the chat, thank you very much for getting involved. He said, I'm a Sony Vegas guy myself, I'm too old to learn a new platform. I don't believe that's true, but if you've got the grips of Sony Vegas, how easy and transferable is it for you to pick up After Effects and go, okay, well, I understand this because I've been using Sony Vegas or whatever it is?
Yes, I think from memory, like I say, it's been a while since I've used Sony Vegas, but from memory, that it was a fairly simple kind of transfer from one to the other. Like I said, just a lot of just
Hmm.
looking up where
Yeah.
different things are. Obviously, it's set out quite differently, so sometimes they'll do the exact same things, but it'll be some extra steps that you've got to take to get to the same area. Or there's like it's set out in a different way. It's a different box in like a different corner of your screen somewhere. So as long as you've kind of dedicate some time to maybe just sit down and familiarize yourself, like I said, just try things out, even if you don't know what it does. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you can transfer skills over fairly easily.
Yeah, good. So that's a good answer. I was kind of hoping that it would be something similar like that,
Yeah,
because it's the same with like programming and things like that. You learn one language and you can I mean, I know they're all very different, but there are similarities between the two. And once you learn to think like a programmer, you can transfer a lot easier. So I guess it's a
yeah,
very similar concept with video editing. Once you're thinking about the techniques that you want to use, it doesn't really matter which software you're using to do them. And I guess same with kind of streaming as well. Like I'm using Twitch right now, but if I was to switch to Mixer or YouTube Live, I guess they all do the same thing, don't they? So it's just
yeah.
about um, figuring out what's different on the platform. Okay, a really good answer there. Thank you. So, what? Speaking of different softwares, still, what do you think you could create in, say, Premiere Pro that you cannot in After Effects, or vice versa?
Yeah, so I guess the main difference between the two is that any kind of long form editing, so anything where it's just going to be the full length video from start to finish, Premiere Pro is definitely the best solution for that. After Effects, the way After Effects works, can be a bit funny if you ever do anything like super long, just because when you come back to doing any playback, it doesn't render the whole thing straight away. So it doesn't, when you go to see the preview box at the top, and you're trying to like go back over everything you've done so far, After Effects doesn't render everything um, like Premiere Pro does. So when you're clicking through and you click play, sometimes it'll stick a little bit and it'll cut back and stick a little bit and cut back. So any like small animations um, or any kind of like small effects that you want to do, you definitely do those in After Effects, just because it's a lot easier in After Effects. There's a lot more tools in After Effects to be able to
Hmm.
do effects. I guess it's in the name. Um, but anything long form. So if you want to do like I say, cut up a whole video and slice it together and put music in, then Premiere Pro, because of just the way it's built and I guess the way it's meant to be, it's easier to be able to play back the video, to go back in and go to a certain point in time and not have to worry about, oh, it's gonna take 10 minutes before I can watch it through properly without it cutting and lagging off and things like that.
Okay. So I mean, I don't know because I've never used any of these programs, but it sounds like that was a pretty comprehensive answer and made a lot of sense to me, even from a from a very noobish background, having not used any of them. So yeah, that's great. Thank you. Um, so we're still going back to like being new to video editing. And I'm sorry if this stream feels a lot like based on that, but it's mostly because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So if I was, starting out and just getting involved, and I'm following your advice so far, with the free software and following your stuff, following your tips. So what are the kind of common mistakes that I tend that new editors tend to make, and how can I avoid them?
Yeah, so I think one major thing is that a lot of people tend to rush. And so a lot of people think, oh, I don't know how to do this. I'll just kind of throw something else together, or I don't have any ideas left. I guess I'll just kind of throw the video up, or I'll cut the video up here, and this will kind of be the end. I think a lot of my experience has been a case of, if I ever do get stuck with ideas, or if I ever feel like I've run out of kind of space to do anything, it's nice to kind of just take a step back and kind of think about what you're doing, even go and kind of um, watch other people's content again. I keep going back to like watching other people's stuff, but if you go back and like watch other people's stuff, maybe try and generate some more ideas from there, or even just kind of go away and think about where you are so far. Generally, in most cases, I found that when you come back, whenever it ends up being that you come back to it, you'll normally feel a bit more refreshed. You'll feel like you've got a better handle on maybe some new ideas at that point.
Yeah.
Um, Another important thing, this is something I didn't do early on that I've regretted a few times, is make sure that you save your work, and not just as in save it because if it crashes, that's obviously important as well. Make sure you save your work. But um, if you've ever completely finished with a project, even if you think you don't need it anymore, um, if you can, if your hard drive space permits, try and keep hold of it. There's a lot of times where I've come to do a video and then I've thought, oh, if I go back to a previous video, I could probably steal something out of that and just make it 10 times easier, 10 times quicker, just to kind of copy and paste it almost across. But then I've gone back and the videos aren't there because I've deleted them to save space or something. So any kind of work that you have, if you can keep hold of it, try and keep hold of it, just so then if there's any way of you kind of transferring things from one to another, then it makes things 10 times quicker than sometimes it can end up being.
Yeah, I'm just reading in the chat here. Lukey Bo's chiming in with a couple of good suggestions as well. I don't know if you've seen them, but he's mentioned here. First of all, with the listening to it through headphones and checking that the audio is the same through both speakers and headphones, and sometimes that can be different. Is that something that you've come across before?
Yeah, that's definitely important. So a lot of the times, if you wear headphones, you probably maybe notice that things are generally a bit louder when you're wearing headphones than they are on speakers. So it's important, yeah, like he says, to if you can, if you've got speakers as well as headphones, try and test it out in both, and that way you can kind of equalize levels a bit easier to make it so that it's not going to be super quiet on speakers and then blaringly loud in your headphones or anything
Yeah,
like that.
and I've got another question here from Ethan Parsons 99. Again, thank you for the follow. Would you say it's important to be unique in your editing, or is it okay to not steal but take things from other videos to apply to your own? Now, I know you've mentioned this a lot in terms of watching other people's for ideas and things like that. But I think what I think he's trying to say is developing your own style. So how important do you think that is? Do you think actually it's not that important in terms of video editing? You should just kind of follow the mainstream, or do you think going with your own style and kind of pickpocketing the best bits from other people and then making your own unique style? Or what do you think on that?
Yes, I guess it kind of depends what your end goal is in some senses. So if you are just kind of happy to do everything and everything, then yeah, feel free to just kind of not really have a style and go off and do all kinds of different of videos. Maybe that could even help you nail down then a particular style. But I think if you're looking to um, maybe do it a bit more professionally, or go down the avenue of maybe potentially even doing this as a job in like the end, as like the end goal, I
Hmm.
think it's definitely important to nail down some sort of style or have a specific way of doing things. So if you're known as the person who's really good at making montage videos, then chances are people who want that kind of content will be able to come to you, and
Yeah.
they'll know that you're good at that. Um, Whereas if you did loads of different things, sometimes it can be hard to kind of make yourself stand out from other people who are doing like specifically like honing in on certain aspects.
Well, I mean, I've been, looking through your website and watching all your videos and looking at all your stuff, and I definitely noticed, and this is before you said it, but particularly the way that you integrate music with what's happening in the video. Like, even, I mean, there's one I'm going to show at the end, and like the text is bouncing towards the screen as the beat is going on, and I think that's quite a unique style, and that's obviously very fluent throughout all of your work. So I think that's quite a nice style for you, and you've obviously you developed that yourself, and you're quite happy with it, and I think it looks really good. Um, so yeah, just moving on then. Are there any easy tips or simple ways that you can get like really good looking results just from doing something super easy?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a misconception within video editing that you have to have like really crazy effects to make your video look good. So you have to have like the big 3D text like smashed into the ground, and there's like an earthquake effect and everything goes crazy. Um, I think a lot more important than having the crazy effects is just to make sure you have a flow that makes sense within a video. So
Mhm.
does it have like a logical start, middle, and end? Is the story that you're trying to tell kind of consistent all the way through? Or if it jumps, is there anything you can do to fix that? So I think the easy way of getting the best results is just to make sure you come to video editing with kind of an understanding of where kind of your start and end is, and how can you make those meet without it becoming illogical, or without it making crazy leaps in logic for like a viewer's perspective.
That's really interesting because, when I was thinking of these questions and bringing them up together for you, I actually asked that with the idea in my head, like, oh, is there like a sneaky little, effect that you can put on something just to make
Mm.
it pop or whatever? But you've come up with a really great answer there, which isn't to do with, an effect at all. It's actually just thinking about the content of your video and the way it's structured and laid out. And that's really actually quite important. And I can't believe I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if you did want, I guess from that kind of perspective, you want like an easy idea of how to do it. Some software, I know, obviously, working with like Premiere Pro and After Effects has this. But any animation, sometimes within a video, if you just kind of leave it on default, it'll look quite clunky, and it'll just kind of either like pop in and appear on screen, or it'll kind of, if you're making it like almost if you're drawing it like a pencil, so you draw like a line, it'll just kind of draw and then stop. Um, in some bits of software you can get, there's I think it's in After Effects, I think it is. I'll be specifically talking about, but there's an effect called easy ease. It's easy ease in or out, you can choose between, but it essentially automatically makes the flow um, like smoother almost, so it's not like jumping from the kind of start to end, and it's a really like hard cut, and it's a bit jarring to look at. It makes it nice and smooth, and it can smooth things out. And so if the software that you use has anything like that in there, then that's quite a nice little effect that you can throw onto like any kind of animation to make it a bit smoother instead of it being a bit jarring and stuttery.
Awesome. That sounds good. Yeah. We all like something that's a bit smoother than,
Yeah.
nobody likes it when their video starts jumping around unexpectedly. Cool. So, I mean, I've mentioned it loads. I'm going to post it again because, I'm really a big fan of all your work. So I've just posted the link there to your website. Thank you very much for the follow, everybody, and for being here today. If you do have any questions that you want to ask Spyran, just post them in the chat and I'll ask them. So, yeah, I've just linked to your website there. Obviously, you're a bit established in terms of your website. You've got a really good portfolio going. People can go there to check it out, and of course, you can show this to any potential clients who you may have for your personal employment in the future. But this is like your personal branding. You've got your own logo, you've got your own website. How can people who are wanting to get involved in video editing as a career get started with their personal branding?
Yeah, so I guess the first important suggestion that I'd make is to have somewhere where you can host all of your content and keep it all in one place. So even if it's as simple as just getting a YouTube channel where you can also throw up all of your videos that you make, then do that and make sure it's all in one place so that you can call back to it whenever you need to. Social media obviously is really big, and so anywhere where you can use social media. So I use Twitter, I guess probably most out of all the social media that I have.
Hmm.
And so on my Twitter bio, all the links are there to my various bits and pieces, but the website as well. So making sure that if anyone clicks on your profile or sees anything that you've done or that you've posted, give them the easiest access that they can to be able to go and look at all your future work. So make sure it's plastered on like your banners and your logos and everything else. Make sure there's some sort of link to wherever it is that you want them to
Yeah,
go see your content. And then I guess on top of that, just try and seek opportunities where you can. So um, if there's any kind of volunteer jobs like this was for me, go out and take a crack at it. You don't even if you feel like you're underqualified, or even if you feel like you're not going to be as good as someone else might be. Just throw your hat in the ring and see what's said, because the only way that you going to get kind of more content, I guess, to produce is by doing jobs for people,
yeah, I have
or
to.
even create those opportunities yourself. So a lot of, like I said, in my early days, it was me and my friends making stupid Minecraft videos, or like stupid whatever it was videos. So if you can make those opportunities yourself, then that's another easy avenue to kind of get as much content as you can out there.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, I must agree as well. You know, if you are um, interested in something or you're passionate about doing something, throw your hat in the ring always. You know, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter if you're not good or you don't think you're good. You know, sometimes it can really work out for you. And you know, a lot of our people who have volunteered for us in the past, you know, have ended up with something really valuable out of it. So you know, it doesn't matter too much. I definitely agree with that. So, speaking for volunteering for us, you've actually done quite a lot of work for us recently with video edits, and you know you're actually doing some work this weekend over at the Champs for the finals. You'll be doing kind of live, instant replay kind of highlight clips, which I'm really excited and looking forward to seeing. Um, so, you've made quite a few videos for us. What would you say has been the most favorite one?
so
Quickly checks his
yeah,
portfolio
yeah, let me
there.
think. um I'd say there's a video that I don't think has come out yet actually, but I think it's the latest one that I've done where it's you guys and you've been playing League of Legends together, and it's the roulette that's chosen your champions.
Oh yeah,
So that one was interesting because it's the first time I've properly worked with kind of multiple points of views, and trying to edit all that together. So that was an interesting experience for me, trying to make sure the audio still syncs up even though you're cutting from kind of one person's perspective to another. Um, and so that was really good. And I think because it's like a comedy video, or you're trying to make it a bit funnier, a bit more interesting to watch. You've got quite a lot of creative freedom with that. So um, being able to go in and put like funny like sound effects in, or funny like zooms, or just making things a bit funnier than maybe they first seem to be. Uh, those kind of videos are really good. So I quite like doing that one.
brilliant. Yeah, I'm really excited to see that. Although, if I remember off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure I had a really terrible game. But still,
So I can cut that out if you want. You just have to let me know.
it just cut me out completely.
Yeah.
It's probably five. Yeah. No, I'm really happy to look at it from a video editing perspective. You know, and I'll enjoy the content just from that point of view now, especially now that we've had this chat and I've learned a little bit more about the kind of things that you do and how you know how much effort goes into it behind the scenes. You know, I'll watch that video tomorrow when it comes out tomorrow morning, and I'll have a completely different perspective rather than me just watching a video to entertain myself. It'll be yeah, it'll be really good. Um, so, what's it like, you know, being a volunteer and working with us? Have you had a good time? Has it been difficult? Have you come across any problems, you know, with resources or anything like that?
No, it's been brilliant. So when I've worked with people in the past, sometimes it can be a bit funny in terms of getting resources or everything kind of been spread all over the place. But I've really enjoyed kind of it's a lot more centralized, and I think it ever has been, just because you've got so many things. Like you've got Discord now where you can all kind of sit in and you can chat to people if you need to, or you've got things like Google Drive where you can drop all your bits and pieces in. easily enough that people can then go and access it from wherever they are. And so one of the things I've liked definitely about volunteering for this is it's just been really nice and easy to kind of get content quickly, and be able to put stuff together quickly and get feedback quickly.
Nice.
The turnover is really, really good, and I've really enjoyed that.
Thank you very much. I mean, on behalf of the association, not just me. So, obviously, you're Heckman White. Could you just tell us a little bit
Yes.
about, are you involved in the champs team? Or, what's your position there in terms
Yes.
of the competition?
So I started at Heckman Wyke at the back end of last year, just before Christmas. And at that point, there was no kind of esports club in existence at
Hmm.
school, and they weren't kind of participating in any sort of way. But previous to that, when I'd worked at a school called the Featherstone Academy, I'd helped set up the esports club there, which I think sadly has kind of died as I've left, which is a bit disappointing. But having moved to Heckman Wyke, I know there was at the time there was a couple of sixth formers who were keen on getting some sort of like club started. It started out with Smash Brothers, and they'd bring kind of their switches in, and they'd just play Smash Brothers, and we turned that then kind of with their help, and with another member of staff into a club, which then spawned a house tournament. Which sadly we didn't get to conclude, just because we've kind of been kicked out of school now, and that's it for kind of the foreseeable future. Um, but it started with that, and then from there, knowing that obviously this existed and the champs existed, I suggested the idea that maybe we could look at getting some of the students involved in. So we don't have we didn't at the time have brilliant computers, or the best ones that we had weren't like super cracking, and so League of Legends was like kind of the obvious start, just because you don't need massively good computers to be able to run that. And so we made the suggestion and the call to, like, if anyone is interested in kind of starting a League of Legends team for the school, we put that forward. We had a lot of people come, and play. Our clubs are held at lunch times, as opposed to after school. There are a few after school clubs that we do this at lunchtime. And so, kind of from the sixth formers, it's a lot of, I guess the credit kind of goes to them, just because they were the ones who've been really organised in making sure that, should any kind of event want to happen, they're the ones who kind of sit down and make the plans. And I'm there to kind of facilitate it on kind of a staff level. And so they've done a really good job. And so we've participated in the League of Legends tournament this last season.
Yep.
We made it to the playoffs, but we lost to the eventual winners. So I'm not too sad about that.
No, I wouldn't be
Um,
sad about that. That
yeah,
was a really solid effort. Well done, everybody from Heckman White.
yeah.
Uh,
Good. And the good news is now that we've, thanks to the DT department requesting uh, better computers for the kind of graphical software that they use, we should, in theory, have computers that can run Overwatch and Rocket League come whenever it ends up
Fantastic.
that we go back to school. So hopefully we can start getting people involved in that as well sometime soon.
I've got somebody in the chat here called Wicket Plays who said, "Watch out, the Hot Shots will win in Overwatch next." So
Yeah.
I'll be excited to see what kind of performance they are putting out. Brilliant stuff. That's really good. I'm glad to hear that kind of your school have taken it on board, and the DT department's getting involved as well. Helping out with the kit. So I think I've just got a couple more questions here. What do you think about like influences? What esports orgs have influenced you in terms of design or video editing? Are those the kind of people that you watch when you're doing when you're trying to think of new techniques? Or who inspires you as a video editor?
So yeah, I guess there's a lot of different things. I guess there's maybe no one specific person that I can think of who's like
Hmm.
the main source of inspiration. But definitely in terms of like from the comedy perspective, I don't know how many people have watched Funhouse, but
Not me.
they're a group on the internet. If you know who Rooster Teeth are, they're part of that kind of collective
Okay.
group.
Yeah, I know
Um,
Rooster
and
Teeth.
yeah, and so I've been watching their videos for years and years, and all their videos are really, really funny. And all the kind of most of it comes from the way the video is edited and the effects and different things that they use. So I think they were a big inspiration for wanting to do more kind of comedy style videos, and how they work in like a successful way. And then I guess kind of with that, um, the video game donkey. I don't know if many.
I
I'd have
remember
thought he's probably
Donkey.
more popular. Yeah,
He was
he's
wicked.
brilliant. Yeah, so I still watch all of his videos, even though he doesn't do League of Legends anymore, really.
Yeah, what a shame.
Yeah, but his videos are always really really funny and really well put together. And I think he's a good example of someone who, if you want to look at kind of the flow of a video and how it can have like a kind of a story that the videos tell a story almost. His videos, some of his videos are really really good for that.
Yeah, he is really good. I've thoroughly enjoyed most of his content, and yeah, if you do enjoy League of Legends, it was an absolutely crippling day when he decided to quit making
Yeah,
videos about League. But yeah, I mean, thank you very much for coming on today and answering a few questions for me and everybody else in the chat. I just want to shout out again that you are going to be helping out this weekend with our championships. I assume you're working all 3 days. Bless you.
yes, I think that's the plan.
Good,
So I
good.
will be there.
Yeah, well, that's great because you get ringside seats to all the matches. But it's yeah, really great to have you on. Thank you very much. I'm just going to put on a short video to demonstrate the league season finals highlights, which we had posted recently, and obviously you edited and put out yourself recently. But yeah, thank you very very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you next. Actually, I want to mention one more thing. At some point, with your permission, I would love to get you back on, maybe in a couple of months or something, to do another stream similar to this, except with sort of live conceptualization of what you're editing. So we'll give you, something to edit, and then you'll edit it live. But instead of seeing our faces, we'll get to see kind of what you're doing, and we'll just chat over the top of it, if you're up
Yeah,
for that.
yeah, I think that'd be brilliant. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Awesome. All right, I will get set in organising that at some point. But for now, thank you ever so much, Saul. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and we'll see you at the weekend for some great highlights.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks ever so much. So everybody else, enjoy this short clip made by Saul Spyran Parsons. Cheers. So that was, of course, the League Championship Finals, edited by Spyran, who's just, thank you ever so much for spending time with me today. Yeah, thank you everybody for joining. It was a really useful chat. I learned a lot of things. He's a really, really talented guy, and I'm sure we'll get to see some more of his great content coming out soon. Just before we go, I want to quickly shout out to the Newell to say thank you again for hosting this weekend. Please check us out Friday 3 p.m, Saturday 3 p.m, and Sunday 3 p.m. for the Overwatch, League of Legends, and Rocket League, respectively. These are really going to be some really good games. Fingers crossed we see some great content and have some good matches and have fun, guys. Thank you so much. Take care and see you on Friday. Bye bye.